My stepmom said, "From now on, you don't exist to me or your father." 4 years later, I stood in my mother's living room and watched a sheriff's deputy drag her out of a house she had spent years calling hers. She said it on the first night she moved in. I was 17. My mom had been dead for exactly a year. My dad had already married Vivian, a woman I had met twice before she showed up with boxes, a key, and a teenage daughter named Tiffany. Vivian walked into our kitchen like she had personally picked every cabinet and paid for every tile. She put her purse on the counter where my mom used to leave her grocery list. Tiffany stood beside her, looking around the room with the bored expression of someone deciding whether a hotel was nice enough. What neither of them knew was that my mother had been planning for them before either one had entered my life. But I didn't know that yet. That night, all I knew was that my father was about to let a stranger tell me I no longer mattered. Let me start at the beginning. My mom got sick when I was 15. She fought for a year and a half. She had surgeries, chemo, hospital stays, and more bad days than good ones. I was the one who learned how to reset the alarm on her drip when a nurse was busy. I was the one who read to her when her eyes hurt too much to focus. I was the one who sat beside her bed at 2 in the morning while she slept and pretended I wasn't terrified. My dad, Gary, mostly sat in the waiting room. He said hospitals made him panic. He said he couldn't stand seeing her like that. He said he was trying his best. I was 16 and somehow managing to stand there, but sure, he was trying. Mom died in the spring. For months after that, Dad barely spoke at dinner. He went to work, came home, stared at the TV, and acted like grief was something happening in the next room. I thought he was broken. I thought we were both broken in different ways. Then, 8 months later, he brought Vivian home. I didn't even know he was dating. One day he was a widower who couldn't look at Mom's picture without leaving the room. The next day he was introducing me to a woman with a tight smile and a daughter who was my age. They had already gotten married at the courthouse. No one told me until it was done. "You're going to love having a sister," Vivian said, giving me a stiff little hug. Tiffany looked me up and down the way people inspect a used car they have no intention of buying. That first night, Vivian announced we were having a family meeting. The 4 of us sat in the living room. Dad took the couch. Tiffany curled up in my mom's old armchair without asking. Vivian sat straight back across from me with her hands folded in her lap, like she was about to fire somebody. "Delaney," she said, "I want to be honest with you." Nothing good has ever followed those words. Tiffany has been through a lot. Her parents' divorce was very hard on her. She needs stability. She needs support. Your father and I have decided that for a while, we need to focus most of our energy on her. I looked at Dad. I waited for him to say something. Anything. He stared at the carpet. "What does that mean?" I asked. Vivian smiled at me like I was slow. "It means you're strong. You're independent. Everybody can see that. So from now on, you're on your own. No asking us for money. No rides. No help with school. If you bring us a problem, the answer is going to be no, so save yourself the trouble." I laughed. I really did. I laughed because it had to be a joke. "You can't be serious? Do I look like I'm joking?" She didn't. "Dad," I said. "She's saying you aren't allowed to be my dad anymore." He let out that tired sigh he used whenever I was inconvenient. "She's not saying that, Delaney. Don't be dramatic." "Then what is she saying?" Vivian leaned forward. "I'm his wife. What I say matters in this house. You can accept that, or you can make the next few years very difficult for yourself. Your choice." I stood up so fast my knees hit the coffee table. I wanted to scream. I wanted to ask Dad how he could sit there while a woman he barely knew told his grieving daughter to disappear. I wanted to throw every ugly thing I felt right into the middle of that room. But some quiet part of me stopped me. It was the same part that had learned to keep my face still in hospital rooms. The part Mom had built in me without meaning to. So I swallowed it. "Fine," I said. "I don't need any of you." Vivian smiled. Good girl. What she didn't know was that my mother had saved $50,000 for me. A college fund built over 17 years, dollar by dollar, while she worked double shifts and packed lunches and told me I could be anything I wanted. She had told me about it near the end. The day I turned 18, I was supposed to take that money, go to college, and walk out of that house for good. I just had to survive until then. For 2 weeks, I acted like Vivian did not exist. She was not my family. She was bad weather, something miserable that would eventually pass. I stayed in my room. I went to school. I did my homework. I waited for Dad to wake up and remember he had a daughter. Then I came home one Thursday and found my bedroom door wide open. I heard Tiffany laughing inside. I ran upstairs and stopped in the doorway. Everything in me went cold. My room was empty. Not messy. Not rearranged. Empty. My bed was gone. My desk was gone. My bookshelf was gone. The fairy lights Mom and I had hung across the ceiling the summer before she got sick were gone too. The only thing left was the paint. Lavender. Mom and I had picked that shade together. We spent an entire Saturday painting the room. She got a streak of lavender across her nose and didn't notice for almost an hour. I never told her because she was laughing so hard at something stupid on the radio, and she looked happy. Tiffany stood in the middle of my empty room with her phone in the air, filming herself as she turned in a slow circle. "And this," she said to the camera, "is going to be my new dance studio. Mom's getting me a wall of mirrors and a real ballot bar." She saw me and grinned. "Oh, you're home. Where is my stuff?" "Garage, I think." Mom wanted the room cleared before the painters come tomorrow. "Painters. Pink and gold," she said. The purple is kind of depressing, honestly. No offense. I went downstairs so fast I almost fell. Vivian was in the kitchen flipping through a catalog full of dance equipment. You moved my things into the garage, I asked. My voice was shaking. That's my room. Mom and I painted that room. She didn't look up. It's Tiffany's room now. She can decorate it however she likes. You can't just do that. Then she looked at me. She had this patient, pitying look that made me want to put my fist through a wall. Delaney, your mother is dead. She has been dead for a year. Those are walls. That is paint. At some point, you need to stop using her as an excuse to make everyone else's life difficult. An excuse? I've given you time to grieve. But I am done watching you hold this family hostage over a woman who isn't coming back. I stared at her in my mother's kitchen. She was telling me that missing my dead mother was an inconvenience to her. I want to talk to Dad. Vivian smiled again. Your father agreed to it. Why do you think we did it while he was at work? He knew you would throw a tantrum, and he didn't want to deal with you. I felt my face go hot. He's tired, Delaney, she added. You exhaust him. Every time he starts to feel happy, you drag him back down. You're the thing standing between your father and his happiness. I wanted to break something. That was exactly what she wanted. So I turned around, walked to the garage, and found my entire life pushed into cardboard boxes like trash waiting for pickup. That night, I lay in the tiny guest room and stared at white walls that held no memory of me. I made myself a promise. I would survive this. I would get out, and I would take everything Mom left me on my way out. I just had to wait. Waiting taught me how to disappear without leaving the room. I got a job at a coffee shop after school. Then I got another one stocking shelves on weekends. I kept a 4.0. I spoke to Vivian and Tiffany in as few words as possible. I stopped asking Dad for anything because I already knew the answer, and hearing him say no hurt more than not asking. I watched Tiffany become exactly what 3 years of being carried around creates. At 17, she could not do laundry. She could not cook. She had never held a job for more than 2 months. One time, she had a full panic attack because she had to call a dentist's office and reschedule an appointment herself. Vivian had built a daughter who could not stand up unless somebody was underneath her holding her there. Good luck with that, I thought. I kept it to myself. The thing that got me through was a number. $50,000. That plus scholarships if I kept my grades high enough. A small apartment, a campus far away. A life where none of them could reach me. Then came the necklace. I came downstairs one Saturday morning and found Tiffany eating cereal at the kitchen table. She was wearing Mom's necklace. It had a small diamond pendant. Mom wore it every day of my life. Near the end, when her hands were too weak to fasten it, she made me put it on for her. She told me she wanted me to have it someday. Now it was hanging around Tiffany's neck like it belonged there. I stopped breathing. Tiffany looked up and smiled because she knew exactly what she was doing. Morning, she said. Take it off. Take what off? You know what, take it off right now. She touched the pendant between 2 fingers. Your mom's old jewelry was sitting in a box collecting dust. Mom said I could have whatever I wanted. I picked the prettiest one. Then she tilted her head. Honestly, it looks better on me. Your mom had kind of a thick neck, didn't she? It probably looked cheap on her. I moved before I could think. I lunged across the kitchen, grabbed the pendant, and pulled it free. The chain snapped. Tiffany screamed like I had stabbed her. Vivian came running. She saw Tiffany holding her throat. She saw me gripping the broken necklace. Her face turned to stone. What did you do? Your daughter stole Mom's necklace. Everything in this house belongs to the family now. Your mother's things were doing nothing in a box. I decided they should be used. This is all I have left of her. You took my room. You took my dad, and now you're giving away the only pieces of her I have left. They're objects, Delaney. They don't bring her back. You don't get to decide that. You didn't know her. You just showed up and started erasing her. Vivian stepped closer. I'm the reason this family functions. I take care of your father. I manage this house. Your mother left a mess behind, and I have spent 3 years cleaning it up. She looked right at me. Including you. Including me. Like I was a stain, I slapped her. My hand cracked across her face, so hard the sound bounced off the cabinets. Her head snapped to the side. A red mark appeared on her cheek. Then she looked back at me. And there was something almost pleased in her eyes. Like I had finally handed her the weapon she had been waiting for. Gary, she screamed. Gary, get in here now. Dad came running from the living room. He took in Vivian's cheek, Tiffany's tears, and the broken necklace in my hand. She gave Mom's necklace to Tiffany, I said. Dad, she has been going through Mom's things and giving them away. For 1 second, I thought he might hear me. Then Vivian made a small wounded sound and touched her cheek. Dad's face went hard. I don't care what she did. You do not hit people. Your mother would be ashamed of you right now. Something small and final broke in my chest. Don't, I said quietly. Don't you dare use her against me. She raised you better than this. She would be disgusted. Go to your room, he said. Don't come out until I say. I walked upstairs in a daze. Behind me, I could hear Vivian telling him she no longer felt safe with me in the house. Tiffany sobbed that I had tried to choke her. Dad apologized. He apologized for me. For my existence. I sat on the guest room bed holding Mom's broken necklace and finally understood the truth all the way down. I had nobody. The only way out was to stop waiting for someone to save me. I just did not know yet how much ammunition Mom had already left behind. I thought the necklace was the worst thing Vivian would do. I was wrong. A few weeks later, I was looking for a phone charger in the hall closet when I saw a shipping receipt in the recycling bin. It was a prepaid mailing label. The item description said, antique music box, woodworking. My mother's music box. It had belonged to my grandmother before it belonged to Mom. You own the tiny key on the bottom, and it played the lullaby Mom used to hum when I could not sleep. It sat on a shelf in the guest room, one of the few things of hers I had kept where I could see it. I ran upstairs. The shelf was empty. I found Vivian in the laundry room. Where is Mom's music box? She did not even flinch. I sold it. You what? It was worth almost $2,000. Tiffany needed new point shoes, and we had other expenses. I made a decision. It was an old wooden box, Delaney. It wasn't helping anyone gathering dust. That was my grandmother's. That was my mother's. You sold it to strangers online. You're being hysterical again. I went to Dad. For once, I was not screaming. I told him plainly that his wife had sold a piece of my dead mother's life for $2,000. He was quiet for a long moment. Then he said something I will never forget. Delaney, I think you owe Vivian an apology. She is under a lot of stress managing this household and you have been very difficult. Accusing her like that isn't fair. An apology. He wanted me to apologize. I looked at my father, the man who used to check my closet for monsters when I was 6, and I realized the monster had moved into his bed and he had handed it the keys. I did not apologize. That night, I gathered everything I had left of Mom. The broken necklace, photos, her favorite sweater, a birthday letter she wrote when I turned 10. I put them in my backpack and hid them somewhere outside the house. A bus station locker, $12 a month. It was the best money I ever spent, because I finally understood that in that house, nothing of hers was safe. There was a pearl ring too. It was not expensive. Maybe a couple $100. Mom wore it on her right hand for as long as I could remember. It was one of the last things I had not moved to the locker, because Vivian kept the remaining jewelry in her bedroom, supposedly for safekeeping. I asked for it. Just the ring. I told Vivian I did not want anything else. She looked at me like I had asked to borrow her car. I was actually thinking about giving that one to Tiffany, she said. It suits her. She has such delicate hands. You would probably lose it anyway. It will mean more to someone who will actually wear it. Someone who would actually wear it. Mom's ring, reserved for the girl who had insulted her body at my kitchen table. I did not argue. By then, I understood that arguing was oxygen for Vivian. Instead, I added it to my list. I had started keeping one in a small notebook inside my backpack. Every insult, every item they took, every date. I did not know what I would do with it. I only knew that one day I might need every detail, and I did not trust grief not to soften the edges. Months passed. I applied to college and got into every school I applied to. 3 full scholarships, mostly because my grades were good and the essays I wrote about overcoming adversity were apparently convincing. Trauma makes excellent application material. The scholarships covered tuition. What I needed for an apartment deposit, groceries, books, and a plane ticket away from all of them was Mom's college fund. $50,000. It was the last thing between me and freedom. One night after dinner, I found Dad alone in the living room. Vivian was loading the dishwasher. Tiffany was on the couch, staring at her phone. Dad, I need to talk to you about Mom's college fund, the one she set up before she died. I need access to it for school. The color drained from his face. The fund, he said. Right, the fund. She told me it was $50,000. She said it would be mine when I turned 18. He could not find the words. Delaney, there were expenses. After she died, medical bills, the funeral, repairs on the house. We had to make some adjustments. Vivian appeared in the doorway, drying her hands on a dish towel. She wore the expression she always wore right before she twisted the knife. That money was absorbed into household finances years ago, she said. We're one family. Families share resources. I turned toward her. Absorbed into what, exactly? Tiffany's activities. She has real talent. Coaches, competitions, private lessons, none of it is cheap. The house had needs too. And our life. Your mother's money helped provide opportunities for this family. You spent my college fund on her dance lessons. On the family? And what else? I had seen the shopping bags. I had seen the vacations they took without inviting me. I had seen the new car in the driveway. Dance lessons do not cost $50,000. Vivian, where is the rest? Her jaw tightened, just slightly. That was enough. I saw the spa weekends, the designer bags, the cruise. My mother worked double shifts for 17 years so I could go to college, and Vivian spent that money on herself and called it family. Dad would not meet my eyes. The money was sitting there, he said. We needed it. I'm sorry your mother made a promise she couldn't keep. But it's gone. You have scholarships. You'll be fine. You're strong, capable, independent. Those were the words they used when they did not want to care for me. Later that night, Dad knocked on my door. For one stupid second, I thought he had come to say something real. Instead, he said, when you talk about the money, can you not make it into a whole thing in front of Tiffany? Vivian doesn't want her to feel guilty. It would be easier if we kept it simple. He wanted me to help them lie. He had let his wife empty Mom's savings. Now he wanted me to make that theft comfortable for everyone. The old version of me would have screamed. I would have thrown something. I would have given them the breakdown they were waiting for so they could point at me and call me unstable. But I was not that girl anymore. You've been a coward for 3 years, Dad, I said. Aren't you tired of it yet? He flinched. All I see when I look at you now is a weak man who let his wife steal from his own daughter. That's it. That's all that's left. You don't get to talk to your father like that, Vivian called from down the hall. I'm not talking to my father, I said. I don't think I have one of those anymore. Then I grabbed my keys and drove to the one place left where someone remembered Mom the way I did. Grandma's house. Grandma opened the door before I knocked. She took one look at my face and stepped aside. I sat at her kitchen table, the same table where Mom did homework as a little girl, and I told her everything. The room, the necklace, the music box, the ring, the $50,000 that had vanished. Grandma did not interrupt once. When I finally stopped, she was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "Your mother knew." Knew what? She got up and pulled a thick folder from the cabinet above the refrigerator. The corners were worn. It looked like it had been waiting a long time. She put it on the table between us. Your mother wasn't stupid, Delaney. She loved your father, but she knew he was weak. She knew he would remarry fast. She knew the next woman would probably try to take whatever she could. So your mother made a plan. She spent her last months making sure you would have a way out. She opened the folder. The first paperwork was for the college account. Your father had joint access to that one, Grandma said. After your mother died, he could take from it. What he did was not illegal. It was cowardly, but it was legal. That money is gone. Your mother could not protect it because she needed it available for you, and that meant it was available to him. My stomach dropped even though I had already known. Then Grandma slid another document toward me. But she protected what she could. It was a deed. My name was on it in official black letters beside words like sole owner and transfer of title. The house, Grandma said quietly. Your mother put it in your name before she died, not your father's. Yours, it has been yours for 4 years. The room tilted. I read it again. My name, the address. Mom's signature at the bottom, written while she was dying and thinking about a future she knew she would never see. That's not possible, I whispered. Dad lives there. He acts like he owns it. Either he thinks he does, or he knows he doesn't and has been praying you never find out. Your mother owned that house free and clear before she married him. It was never his. When you turn 18, you can let them stay, charge rent, sell it, or make them leave. It is yours, legally and completely. I could not breathe. There is more, Grandma said. She pulled out a bank statement for an account I had never seen. This is in your name only. Your father could not touch it because he never knew it existed. It has been sitting there for 4 years. The balance was $62,000. I stared at the page. Mom knew I would need a door out, so she built one. Then she hid the key where no one could take it. Grandma held up one last document. The estate attorney Meredith tried to reach you 2 years ago. She sent a certified letter to the house explaining all of this. It came back signed for, but you never got it. I never saw a letter. No, Grandma said. You didn't. Somebody signed for it and made sure you didn't. Vivian. She had intercepted a legal letter that would have told me I owned the house she was redecorating. She had been living in my house, spending Mom's money, taking Mom's things, while hiding proof that none of it belonged to her. Grandma looked at me. What are you going to do? I thought about the family meeting, the empty room, the necklace, the music box, the pearl ring, Dad telling me I was impossible to love, 4 years of being told I was strong because no one wanted to carry me. I'm gonna take back everything they think is theirs, I said. For the first time in a long time, I was not angry. I was calm, because I had a plan, and Mom had signed it herself. I drove home that night with the folder locked in my trunk. I walked into the house like nothing had happened. Vivian was in the kitchen. Nice of you to come back, she said. We still need to talk about your behavior. I'm tired, I said. Tomorrow. Then I went upstairs. I had 3 months until my birthday. 3 months until the house and the account became mine to control. I had survived 4 years. I could survive 12 more weeks. For those 12 weeks, I put on a performance. I went to school. I worked both jobs. I kept my head down. I stopped fighting Vivian. I did not flinch when Dad took her side. I did not react when Tiffany pushed at me. Every day, I crossed one square off a calendar hidden in my closet. Red pen, like a prisoner counting down to release. Tiffany noticed the change. She hated it. The old Delaney was easy to provoke. This version of me, the one who looked through her instead of at her, made her nervous. So she escalated. At first, it was small. She used all my shampoo and left the empty bottle in the shower. She ate food I bought with my own money and shrugged when I asked about it. Didn't see your name on it. I bought a lock for my door. Then I came home one afternoon and found my work uniform soaked in coffee. Tiffany sat on the couch, scrolling through her phone. Oops, she said. Accident? I wore a stained shirt to my shift and got written up by my manager. I did not react. I added it to the list. One morning, Tiffany stepped into the hallway and blocked my path. Her arms were crossed. She looked smug. Say you're sorry for what you said about me, she said. Then you can get past. I looked at her. Really looked. This girl had spent 4 years making my life smaller because she could. Because her mother cheered her on and Dad allowed it. She thought that made her powerful. You know what I've figured out about you, Tiffany? I asked. Her smile faded. You've spent years trying to break me. And sometimes you did, I'll give you that. But I have a job. I have savings. I have a plan. I have a future. What do you have? Her jaw tightened. I have a family that loves me. You have a mother who did everything for you so you would never have to learn to do anything yourself. The second she cannot carry you anymore, you're gonna fall straight to the ground. I will be long gone living my life, not thinking about you at all. I stepped closer. 2 more months, Tiffany, then your favorite target is gone forever. What are you going to do? Develop a personality. Something flickered across her face. Fear, maybe. She stepped aside. I walked past her, went into my room, and shut the door. Then I sat on my bed and smiled. A few weeks before my birthday, Dad knocked on my door. I opened it, but I did not invite him in. What? He looked uncomfortable. Guilty. Good. I know you're still upset about the college fund, he said. I wanted to explain. There is nothing to explain, you spent it. I figured out how to pay for school myself. He blinked. You did? Full scholarships, 3 schools. I don't need your money. And I watched relief wash over his face. It made me sick because he was not relieved that I would be okay. He was relieved that he was off the hook. That's wonderful, honey, he said. I always knew you would figure it out. You're so strong, so independent. I know, you've told me. A lot. Delaney, I know things have been hard. But I'm trying. We're all trying. Can't you meet us halfway? You told me I was impossible to love. In the kitchen after the necklace. Do you remember that? He went pale. I was upset. I didn't mean it. You meant it, and you were right in a way. I am impossible for you to love, because loving me would mean standing up to Vivian, and you cannot do that. So I stopped needing your love. I stopped needing anything from you. That is what you wanted, right? Figure it out yourself, Delaney. Be strong, Delaney. You don't need us, Delaney. I tilted my head. Congratulations, I don't. I closed the door in his face. I heard him stand there for a long time before he finally walked away. 3 weeks. I could do 3 weeks. 2 weeks later, I turned 18. There was no cake, no card, no mention that it was my birthday. The year before Mom died, Dad threw me a surprise party. He invited my friends and bought a cake shaped like a soccer ball. He told me I was his favorite person in the world. Now, he could not remember the date. Going to dinner with Grandma, I told him as I passed his office. Have fun, he said without looking up. He had no idea what day it was. I was not going to dinner. I was going to Meredith's office. Meredith was a sharp woman in her 40s with reading glasses. She kept pushing up her nose. She spread Mom's documents across her desk and walked me through every page. The house is yours, free and clear, she said. Current value is around $450,000. Your father has been living there for 4 years without ownership. Your separate account holds $62,000 and you can access it today. So the question is, what do you want to do? What are my options? You can let them stay. You can charge rent. You can sell the property. Or you can evict them. Your house. Your choice. I thought about Vivian's smile at that first family meeting. Good girl. I thought about the music box sold to a stranger. The ring meant for delicate hands. I want them out, I said. Meredith made a note. I will prepare a formal notice to vacate. Once it is served, they have 30 days. You can mail it, use a process server, or deliver it yourself. I'll deliver it. She almost smiled. I thought you might. Before I served the papers, Tiffany had a recital. It was the spring showcase. There was a party afterward at the house with family, friends, and other dance moms. Vivian loved an audience. She loved being seen as the warm, patient stepmother who had taken in a grieving husband and his difficult daughter. I had not planned to make a move that night. Vivian made it for me. The party was loud. People crowded the kitchen and living room. Vivian stood near the fireplace, smiling too brightly as she told everyone how proud she was of Tiffany. Then she called across the room. Delaney, sweetheart, come say hello. Don't be antisocial. I walked over. She turned to the woman beside her and said, just loud enough for everyone nearby to hear. She's had a hard time. We do everything we can, but grief can make a person selfish. I saw the soft looks from people who did not know me. Poor girl. Lucky to have a stepmother like Vivian. I smiled. Vivian, can I ask you something? In front of everyone, since we're all family here. Her smile tightened. Of course. You've put a lot into this house. 4 years of renovations, a new kitchen, Tiffany's studio. You really made it your own. I let that sit for a second. You must feel very secure here, like it is really yours. Her chin lifted. She was performing for the room. It is mine. I have poured my heart into this home. Right, I said. You keep calling it your house. I tilted my head the way she always did to me. Are you sure about that? The room got quiet. Vivian laughed, but it came out then. What is that supposed to mean? Nothing, I said pleasantly. Just a question. Enjoy the party. Then I walked upstairs and left her standing in front of all her guests with a question she could not answer. I heard later that she spent the rest of the night distracted, looking toward the stairs every few minutes. Good. Let her wonder. She had 3 days to feel the ground move underneath her without knowing why. 3 days later, I waited until everyone was home. It was an ordinary evening. Vivian was making dinner. Tiffany was on the couch. Dad was in his office pretending to work. The house smelled like garlic and onions. The television mumbled in the background. Nobody knew everything was about to change. I need everybody in the living room, I said. Family meeting. Vivian frowned. Excuse me, family meeting, I repeated. Then I sat in the armchair. The same armchair Vivian had used 4 years earlier when she told me I was on my own. They gathered around, confused. Dad came out of his office. Tiffany put down her phone. What is this about? Dad asked. The house, I said. Vivian rolled her eyes. What about the house? I pulled an envelope from my bag and set it on the coffee table. That is a formal notice to vacate. You have 30 days to leave. Silence, total silence. Dad laughed once, nervous and confused. What are you talking about? The house is mine, I said. I looked directly at him. Mom left it to me before she died. It has been in my name for 4 years. You have all been living in my house. That ends now. Vivian's face changed 5 times in about 3 seconds. Confusion, disbelief, anger, then fear. That's ridiculous, she snapped. Gary, tell her that's ridiculous. But Dad said nothing. He had gone white. He stared at me with his mouth open, frozen like a kid caught with his hand in a drawer. And I knew. You knew, I said. Didn't you, Dad? This whole time, he could not meet my eyes. He could not look at Vivian either. Vivian turned slowly toward him. Gary, what is she talking about? He opened his mouth, closed it. Nothing came out. I watched it hit her. 4 years of marriage, 4 years of renovations, parties and plans. 4 years of calling the place home. All of it in a house her husband knew was never his. You knew, she said. Her voice was quiet now. Dangerous. You knew this entire time. It was complicated. He managed. Complicated. She stood up. You let me move my daughter in here. You let me spend money on renovations. You let me build a whole life in this place. And you knew it wasn't yours. I thought maybe she'd never find out. I thought when she turned 18, she would let us stay. Vivian stared at him. You gambled our entire life on your daughter being too stupid to figure it out. I almost laughed. Instead, I let them tear into each other. It was more satisfying than anything I could have said. Tiffany looked between us, completely lost. Wait, can somebody explain what is happening? What do you mean the house is hers? It means, I said, that mom saw exactly who your mother was going to be before your mother even arrived. She put the house in my name so none of you could take it. Your mom has been redecorating my property for 4 years. Tiffany's face went pale. Where are we supposed to go? Not my problem. You can't kick us out. This is our home. No, I said. It is my home. You have been guests. Rude, ungrateful guests who took my room, sold my mother's things, and spent her money. Your invitation is revoked. Tiffany turned to Dad. Dad, do something. He flinched at the word. He looked at me, then Vivian, then the floor. I don't know what to do. Of course you don't, Vivian said. You never do. You sit there and let everybody else clean up your messes. Their marriage broke open right in front of me. I stood up. 30 days, I said. Start packing. Then I went upstairs and closed my door. Behind me, Vivian screamed at Dad. Tiffany cried. The whole house came apart. I lay on my bed, looked at the ceiling, and smiled. The next 2 weeks were educational. Vivian did not go quietly. She tried every tool she had, one at a time, and I watched every one of them fail. First came manipulation. The next morning, she found me in the kitchen. Her whole personality had changed. She was soft, reasonable, gentle. Delaney, I know we've had differences, but we're family. Surely we can work something out. I poured myself a glass of water. We're not family. We never were. I've tried so hard with you. Maybe I made mistakes, but my heart was always in the right place. What exactly did you try? Taking my room, selling Mom's music box, giving her ring to Tiffany, spending my college fund on cruises. Which one was your heart being in the right place? Her mask slip. Then it came back. Everything I did was for this family. You have 30 days. 29 now. Then I left for school. Next came lawyers. Vivian arrived home a few days later with a folder and a smug little smile. I spoke to an attorney. We're contesting the deed. There are ways to challenge this. Undue influence, mental incapacity, improper execution. You will be hearing from our lawyer. Good luck with that. You think you're clever. You're 18. You have no idea how the real world works. This isn't over. 3 days later, I heard her in the kitchen on the phone. Her voice was tight and cracking. What do you mean there's nothing you can do? She was 14 when the transfer happened. There has to be something. What do you mean it's airtight? She hung up and threw her phone across the counter. Mom had used one of the best estate attorneys in the state. Every document was correct. Every signature had been witnessed. Every legal box had been checked twice. Vivian fired that attorney and found another one. She paid a retainer with money they clearly did not have to waste. The answer was the same. The deed was valid. The house was mine. There was nothing to fight. I heard Vivian crying in the master bedroom that night. I did not feel bad. Not even a little. When the legal route failed, she went after public opinion. She called Dad's sister, his brother, cousins, anybody who would listen. I know what she told them because they started calling me. Dad's sister was first. Honey, I heard what is happening. This isn't right. You can't throw your own father out on the street after everything he has done for you. What has he done for me? I asked. Name one thing. She hesitated. He raised you. He provided for you. He let his wife take my room. He let her sell Mom's music box. He let her spend my college fund on vacations. He told me I was impossible to love. He watched her treat me like garbage for 4 years and said nothing. Is that what you mean by providing? The silence on the line stretched out. I didn't know any of that, she finally said. Nobody asked. Everyone believed Vivian's version. The patient stepmother, the troubled girl. But they took everything they could get their hands on, and now they are facing what they did. That's the whole story. More calls came over the next few days, but the story started changing. People who called angry heard the parts Vivian left out. Dad's aunt, who had been close to Mom, said she had always wondered what happened to the house. She said she was proud of me. She said Mom would be proud too. I cried after that call, only in my room, where nobody could see. By the end of the second week, Vivian's campaign had backfired. People stopped returning her calls. The relatives she expected to rally around her knew who she was now. She had never been more alone, and she was getting desperate. In week 3, Tiffany broke. She had held herself together through denial. She was sure somebody would fix this. Vivian would fix it. Dad would fix it. Somebody always did, but nobody was coming. I found her in her room surrounded by clothes and half-filled boxes. She stood in the middle of the mess, frozen. "I don't know what to take," she said when she saw me. Her voice was small. "I don't know how to do this. When we moved here, Mom handled everything. I showed up with one suitcase and my room was ready. I've never had to do any of this. You put things in boxes," I said. "You load the boxes into a car. You drive somewhere else. It isn't complicated. Where are we even going? We can't afford anything." I shrugged. "Sounds like a you problem." She started crying, ugly, having sobs. "I don't know how to do anything. I don't know how to get a job or find an apartment or pay bills. Mom always did everything." And there it was, exactly what I had told her. The second Vivian could not carry her, Tiffany collapsed. I watched her fall apart and felt a cold, quiet satisfaction. A few days later, she knocked softly on my door. Her face was puffy. She looked like she had not slept. "Please," she said. "I know I wasn't always nice to you, but I don't have anywhere to go. Mom doesn't either. Can you give us more time? Just a few weeks. Remember when I told you that you would collapse the second your mom could not carry you?" I asked. "This is that moment. Figure it out." I started to close the door. She grabbed it. "Please, I'm begging you. I know I was awful, but I was just a kid. You were the same age as me. You knew what you were doing. You just never thought there would be consequences." I pulled the door out of her hand. "Welcome to consequences." Then I closed it and locked it. She cried in the hallway for a while. I did not open it again. Day 28 came, and Vivian still had not packed a single box. She had spent the month moving between rage and denial, still convinced she would find some way out. That morning, she planted herself in the middle of the living room and announced she was not leaving. "This is my home. I have lived here for 4 years. I have put my heart and soul into this place. You will have to drag me out." I actually laughed. 4 years earlier, I had stood in a doorway begging her not to take my room. She looked at me and told me the walls were just walls. Now she clung to those same walls like they were keeping her alive. "Okay," I said. Then I walked away. From my room, I called Meredith and confirmed that the court had issued a writ of possession. The sheriff's office had been notified. If they were not out by 5 o'clock on day 30, law enforcement would remove them. 2 more days. I could wait 2 more days. Day 30, I woke up early. I showered. I made breakfast in the kitchen. Vivian glared at me from the living room. She still had not packed. Tiffany had a few boxes by the door. Dad had one suitcase. Just one. He had known it was over for days. At noon, a car pulled into the driveway. A sheriff's deputy got out. I met him at the front door and gave him the paperwork. He looked it over, nodded, and stepped inside. Vivian saw the uniform and went pale. "This is private property. You can't just walk in here." "Ma'am, I am here to enforce a lawful eviction order. You have until 5 p.m. to vacate. If you are not gone by then, I am authorized to remove you. I'll call my lawyer." "This is illegal." "That is your right. The eviction still stands." He stepped back outside to wait. The next 5 hours were chaos. Vivian screamed at Dad to do something. Tiffany stuffed clothes into garbage bags after running out of boxes. Dad quietly loaded what he could into a car that was too small for everything, so they had to decide what to take and what to leave behind. They fought the entire time about whose fault it was and where they would go. A motel, probably. They had no plan. They had never believed they would need one. At 4:45, the deputy knocked. 15 minutes, folks." Vivian stood in the foyer surrounded by boxes she had not loaded. Her hair was wild. Her makeup was smeared. She looked nothing like the woman who had walked into this house 4 years earlier with a perfect smile and a plan. She looked at me. "You're going to regret this. You're going to end up alone. Nobody will ever love someone as cold as you." "Maybe," I said. "But at least I'll be alone in my own house." 5 o'clock came. The deputy came back inside. Vivian still had not moved. "Ma'am, it is time to go." "I'm not leaving. This is my home. I have rights. The eviction has been legally processed. If you refuse, I will remove you." Vivian looked around wildly. At Dad, who was already walking out the front door with his suitcase. At Tiffany, crying beside the car. At me, standing in the living room, watching everything happen. "Jerry," she said. "Gary, do something." But Dad was done. He put his suitcase in the trunk, got into the car, and did not look back. Vivian had no one left. The deputy took her by the arm and walked her outside while she screamed. Then they drove away. The house went quiet. For the first time in 4 years, I stood in Mom's living room, in Mom's house, and I was the only one there. I thought that was the end. Mostly, it was. Vivian had one move left. She went online and posted long, tearful stories about how I threw a grieving widow and an innocent girl out onto the street. It backfired. Someone found an old screenshot from 4 years earlier. Vivian was at a dinner party bragging that she had landed herself a nice house and a husband who would do whatever she said. My cousin posted the sales receipt for Mom's music box. People stopped feeling sorry for Vivian pretty quickly. She tried to win public opinion the same way she had tried to win everything else. By lying louder, it failed for the same reason. The truth was on paper. Paper did not care how she felt. A month after the eviction, Dad called. I almost did not answer. But I did. I'm not calling to fight, he said. He sounded old. I just wanted to say I'm sorry for all of it. I know it doesn't fix anything. Doesn't. Vivian and I are getting divorced. Turns out when there is no house and no money, there isn't much holding a marriage like ours together. He gave a small, bitter laugh. Your mother was right about everything. She knew what I was before I did. I said nothing. I'd like to have some kind of relationship with you someday, he said. If you are ever ready. I thought about the little girl whose dad checked her closet for monsters. Then I thought about the man who stood in a kitchen and told her she was impossible to love. Maybe someday, I said, but not for free. If you ever want to be in my life again, you will repay every dollar of the fund you let her spend. Mom saved that money for 17 years. When that account is full again, we can talk. Until then, we have nothing to say. He was quiet. Then he said, that's fair. I know, I said. Then I hung up. I do not know if he will ever do it. $50,000 plus interest is a lot for a man like Dad. But consequences stopped being my job to soften a long time ago. 6 months later, I sold the house. I know that might sound strange after fighting so hard to keep it. But standing in those rooms every day, I realized the house was not Mom. It was only the place where she used to be. She had not left me a building. She had left me a way out. And a way out only works if you walk through it. I sold the house for $470,000. Between that, the separate account, and my scholarships, I could pay for what school did not cover. I could put a deposit on a small apartment near campus. I could have savings in my name that no one could ever reach. Before I handed over the keys, I went back one last time. I stood in my old room. Tiffany had painted it pink and gold, but I had it redone before the sale. Lavender, the exact shade Mom and I picked out the summer before she got sick. You saw all of it coming. I said out loud to an empty room. And you protected me anyway. Thank you, Mom. I made it out. Just like you planned. Then I dropped the keys in the lockbox and walked to my car. I keep Mom's necklace in a glass case on my desk now. The chain is still broken. I never fixed it. Some things you keep exactly as they are so you never forget what it cost to hold onto them. Beside it sits her pearl ring. The divorce lawyers made Vivian return it along with the other things she had taken that were never hers. Vivian got the ending she built for herself. Dad got the ending he chose every time he refused to choose me. And Tiffany, last I heard, was 21 and finally learning to do her own laundry because there was nobody left to carry her. But Mom is the person I think about every day. She was dying. She was scared. And she still sat down with a lawyer and made sure a girl she would never get to watch grow up had exactly what she needed to be free. That is what love looks like. Not the kind Vivian performed in front of a room full of dance moms. The quiet kind. The kind that plans ahead, asks for nothing, and protects you from beyond the grave. Every time I unlock the door to my own apartment, in my own name, where nobody can ever take anything from me again, I think of her. I'm home, Mom. For real this time.